James Weaver. I'm um, over in Newburgh, which is right outside of Portland, and I'm doing my doctor in psychology at George Fox University. And I was back at the Bridge in 2012, 2013. So it's been over a decade.
When you think about the time at the bridge, what comes to mind?
A lot of good memories. I think just hanging out at the house, there's just so many fond memories there. Um, really just remember spending time hanging out and joking with Rafa, um, and just yeah, grilling chicken, and it just like it was such a positive influence in my life and just such a great friend. And um, I really remember how much I enjoyed the football Cinco too. I still talk about it in the US. I explain it to people and how awesome it is. I think it's way better than the indoor soccer that we have here. There was a couple of the Aventuras that really had a foundational, I guess, formational shaping of my understanding of the world, um, and are still things that I talk about to this day. So that would have been our trip to Grano de Oro, and
Hmm.
then when we were in Bribri. And I
Hmm.
think the trip to Bribri, I don't know if you're still doing Aventuras there, are you?
Yeah,
Okay,
we
awesome.
just did one in October.
Okay, I love that. Yeah, I still talk about that trip regularly to this day. It was one of the most valuable experiences in terms of perspective that I've had in my entire life. And I used it in both of my college applications. Um, it's just such a powerful experience. And I grew up in the US. I've just lived in modern Western civilization. I haven't really known anything else. And so to hear how that sort of modern Western civilization affected an indigenous tribe in recent times, it was so just eye-opening. Yeah, and just like how kind and generous people were, even, when they had so little to share. Um, it was really beautiful. This was the seed that I had from Costa Rica. I think, what did you say it was called? The Ojo de Buey?
All the way, yeah.
I just remember that was something that you had really shared a lot about. The just sort of the idea of like at the bridge, you're just trying to plant seeds, and it's really hard to see what is going to be, what is going to take root, or what is going to grow or change life down the road. Because a lot of the stuff that you're doing at the bridge, a lot of the work that you're doing, you're not necessarily going to see the fruits of it for potentially quite a long time. Um, and that is just something that has really stuck with me from what you shared, and I've kept that seed from my time in Costa Rica. And it for me, it's like I have just a few items that are very symbolically special to me, and they represent people and times in my life. And the seed represents you and my time in Costa Rica. And yeah, it was just such a valuable time for me. I had just lost so much confidence, and I hadn't been doing well socially, and I just felt like really beaten down in a way. And the bridge, there were just so many like healing moments and seeds that got planted around um, having confidence, having positive social relationships, having community, stepping into leadership roles that totally changed my life after leaving the bridge and still to this day. When I came into the bridge, I even remember you making a comment about this, about like remembering me walk in day one from the airport, and I was so like insecure and sort of like nervous and uncomfortable. Having like a stable, small, close community that were also friends, that kind of like community living milieu type of thing was so powerful for me in rewriting a lot of beliefs, in planting a lot of seeds, and just a lot of like early like nurturing and growth and development socially. I felt like I grew in maturity a lot at the bridge, and that was um, through growing socially, but it was also through um, therapy work, and it was through volunteer work, and it was through doing well in school, and it was through structure, and it was through a lot of positive changes in my life and even maybe the absence of things like the, drug substances that I had been using. I wasn't spending that much time playing video games while I was at the bridge, that kind of stuff. It was all just sort of compiling that kind of like healthy living and structured environment into really just allowing me to grow in maturity, which then when I went to college and I'm a freshman in the dorms, I was one of the more confident and mature people there. The bridge was really where I had the seed planted that I could be happy in life. Um, I was really happy living in Costa Rica and really happy being at the bridge, even with all these things that I had been using for happiness externally back home, not being there. I was really in it in terms of just hurting and depression and shame and guilt. And there was a lot of sort of existential suffering and search for meaning. And the bridge was a time where I even looked back on afterwards when I would be going through another, you know, difficult season of life where I could look back and remember, like, no, I actually was happy and I was healthy
Mm.
when I was there. You
Hmm.
know, that is something that is possible. The bridge was where I first really started lifting, and that's a huge part of my life now. I love working out, I love lifting, and it took me a long time, even after the bridge, to really make it a regular habit and routine of my own life. But it's just kind of what you were talking about really sparked. There was a lot of like smaller seeds that were more, like you were saying, like habits of daily life or living that really were helpful. It's like, oh, I was regularly working out in Costa Rica. Oh, I was regularly waking up at a certain time. Oh, I was regularly cooking for myself, right? Oh, I was regularly all these like life skills kind of things. Those are genuine seeds that get planted that are so positive and you can't take them away. I got a time to heal and a time to grow. Um, when I had been in a situation for quite a few years before that where I had really been hurting and really not been growing. And so it was kind of a time to rewrite some of the things that had happened, um, have new experiences, have positive experiences, really correct the ship. And then it was also a time to catch up developmentally in a lot of ways.
Mm.
Whether that was practically speaking with catching up in high school or emotionally, socially speaking. It was just being surrounded by people that were positive, supportive relationships to me. So friends that I had in the program that were life-giving and positive and supportive, and I was growing socially from them, or staff in the program who were just, um, I was genuinely friends with, and they were positive mentors and role models for me. And then, like you as a therapist as well, just such a positive, caring, supportive relationship. And there was just so much that I got out of living in Costa Rica and just living in a different country and learning Spanish and all of the different community service and just recreational trips and the aventuras, all the different places. I think I would have just been a lot more concerned about um, other people and social stuff and just I feel like there would have been way more distractions for me. Whereas Costa Rica, it was really like a chance to just get away and live in a new place, like totally different than the US and a different culture, and just grow and heal and focus on that. And that be like the main part of that time of my life. Whereas I think it would not have felt that focused if it was in San Diego. Love and compassion for yourself is one of the most important things that you can do in your life. And as someone who, I think when you're dealing with depression, mental health stuff, addiction stuff, there can just be a lot of negativity towards yourself. even perfectionism too. You can just be so critical of yourself. Um, there can be a lot of like just shame and guilt and self-hatred. Um, and it is so, not even non-beneficial. It is like actively hurting you to not be playing on your own team. I found God and I found that God was real and everything that I had been searching for, I found in God. And it's just given me so much life and hope and love and joy and meaning and purpose and really just and healing and just everything that I had been searching for. And so, I think that's a tricky one because if I had heard that at any point in my life up until the point where I was ready to start exploring it, I would have thought I sounded crazy. Um, but that's where I'm at now. It just feels so cheesy to say because people say it all the time, but it's so true that like growth comes outside of the comfort zone.
Hmm.
And that was something that I had really done that was really negatively affecting my life was a lot of my coping methods, especially in high school before I came to the bridge, were just about staying comfortable, hiding, staying in my comfort zone, using things to like keep myself safe and comfortable and manage negative emotions. And um, yeah, Costa Rica, just the experience there was so outside of my comfort zone. And the Aventuras, especially. I remember I just used to like just dread them coming up a lot of the time and like, oh, I don't want to go. It's going to be this long trip and it's going to be like, who knows where the heck I'm going to be, like sleeping in some shack next to the rainforest. And um, yeah, they were hard trips a lot of the time, but they were like seriously some of the best moments of my entire life. And, there's really some truth to that of just how important it is to get yourself out of the comfort zone and even when you're not, at a point where you're really willing to do that on your own, I think it was really helpful for the bridge to, in a way, be a good parent of just sort of like gently pushing you out of your comfort zone. There was like so much growth for me in that.
Hmm.